Welcome to the True Health Podcast. I'm your host, Michele Scarlett, board-certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, business owner, and the woman other high-performing women call when they're burnt out, stuck in survival mode, and ready to get back their life. If you've been told by your doctor that everything looks normal, but you know something's off, if your energy is tanking, your focus is scattered, and your body feels like it's working against you, if you're craving more capacity to lead, to scale, to show up fully in your business and for your family, this is the podcast you've been looking for. Every week, I bring you the real conversations doctors aren't having with you, from the truth about your hormones and metabolism to the deeper root causes stealing your energy. I'll share success stories from women who've completely turned things around and give you the tools and insights I use with my private clients. This season, I'm also sitting down with powerhouse women, CEOs, founders, and leaders who have made their health the foundation of their success. These are the conversations that change lives. So if you want real answers, more capacity, and the kind of results that ripple into every part of your life and business, you're in the right place. Thank you, Daina, for joining me today on our episode number 2 of our exclusive podcast for our Corfit members. Today, we are talking a little bit about your journey to health, what that looked like, what it felt for you, and sort of along the way, we'll probably deviate into more conversation about identity and about stress and all those things. And hopefully this is relatable to all the ladies in our program. I think that it is, and based on the conversations we have with them on a daily basis, I hope that this is helpful in moving forward and moving past, what they want to believe in, what they want to believe about themselves in order to actually heal. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and how, came to be on your health journey and where you are today?
Sure. So I'll try to be as succinct as possible here, but I do remember always kind of being the chubby kid. And when I hit my teens, I was concerned a little bit about what I look like. But when I was 12, I got pneumonia and it hit me really hard. Just, if you've ever had pneumonia, I know it's pretty nasty, but I didn't get over the exhaustion and it just kept coming.
From 12?
At 12, yeah.
Wow.
So we went in, that was right at the end of grade 7. So I went into summer holidays with 2 months off, totally exhausted. Like my parents were getting frustrated with me because I wouldn't get out of bed and I wanted to go to sleep and I wasn't doing anything. Started grade 8. Then I ended up having to quit everything that I had been doing. So figure skating, gymnastics, volleyball, baseball, like everything. I just had to quit because I had no energy still. And that went on for like 2.5 more years until with my parents being like, you're just being lazy.
Wow.
It was hard. Like I couldn't think. I managed to do school, and luckily, I'm really grateful that I was a good student because I would never been able to manage homework or a lot of studying. So looking back, I'm very grateful that I did good in school. But then when I was about 15, my mom had we'd gone to the doctors and we'd done the blood work and we'd done specialists. I got dragged to Winnipeg for allergy tests and all these kind of like weird, I don't even remember what. I went to a psychologist once because they thought I was depressed. Like I was just, let's try this specialist. And nothing was coming back for me. Like I was, at that point, wasn't even getting a diagnosis. And so at 15 and a half, we had this new doctor. He was young and he was hip to all the like new stuff out there. Anyway, he did his tests on me. He's like, well, I don't see anything physically wrong with you, but I feel like I'm going to diagnose you with chronic fatigue syndrome.
Wow.
And that was considered a yuppie disease back in the day. So like only like it was like, celebrities getting exhausted and all that. So it's kind of a weird, sort of a shameful diagnosis to get. Like, I'm not lazy. Like, I'm really tired. Not even tired. It hurt. And so I got this diagnosis and I was relieved. Okay, like, great. What can we do? He's like, nothing. We can't do anything about this. So on I went, and that's, again, looking back, I think I was grateful that I didn't get a diagnosis with some random treatment. Like, oh, let's try these pills. Let's try these surgeries. Like so many people get sucked into, and I don't find all that helpful for some. But I did what I could with what I new, and this was almost like the internet was just coming out back then. So most of what I was looking at were magazines and books, and going to the supplement store and looking at supplements and basing what I was doing on the labels. And so I dabbled in healthy eating, and I bought myself into a couple of MLM programs, or because they promised all these amazing miracles. Didn't do anything. And got through university somehow. And I had a few really, really bad spirals with that. Along with all this, though, I started getting these insane stomach. I've never had a baby. I've never been through labor. So if this is to the women like you who've had a baby and gone through labor, it's probably nothing like it. But the pain that I felt, that's what I was attributing it to, because it kind of came like what I know, like contractions. Like it came in waves, and they would come and they would get faster and faster and faster, and I'd have no relief for about 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
And then they start to come like more rest between, and they'd knock me out for days. And it took me 2 or 3 years to start noticing little patterns, like, oh, those cramping, that stomach torso cramping came when I ate sugar and dairy together. So ice cream triggered it. So it's foods like ice cream, fettuccine alfredo, paralyzers at the bar, pizza. My dad and I used to go for pizza. And then that, I couldn't handle that anymore. So I started to know, like, what's the pattern here? And I'm like, okay, in my head, it was like, okay, if I combine wheat and dairy, wheat and sugar, or dairy and sugar, or all three, that's when these came. So that was fine. I was easily able to drop those combinations for a while, and it helped a lot. And then they started coming at random times again, and sometimes related to exams, so stress and all that. So through all of this, through my 20s, I gained quite a bit of weight, and I did not like it. I tried I was exhausted. I wanted the easy fix. So I tried the 10-day, we're going to lose 30 pounds in 10 days.
You thought the problem was your weight, right? Like that, like you didn't think that there was something like really metabolically going on. You were just like, I see this extra weight. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Let's do something. Okay.
Yeah. And I'd been told there's nothing we can do about the fatigue.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I don't like how I look. So I'm going to start working on that. And I try to go to like the exercise more route. And I remember going to a kickboxing class with a friend one Monday night in university. I got home. I had fun. It was only an hour. I got home and I'm like, I'm tired. I woke up the next day and couldn't move. I stayed home for 3 days after. Like, it's not muscles, not because my muscles were sore from the exercise, because the fatigue just like killed me.
Yeah.
So I really struggled. And finally, like, I realized, dabbling in all these one-off like quick fixes was not helping. I remember I had a boyfriend in my 20s who was like, oh, you need to eat better. I'm like, yeah, I probably do. So he started buying me more fruits and vegetables and feeding me better. And it gave me a little, like, just eating better, eating healthy, it kind of gave me a little bit more energy to get through work. But then he's like, I have this detox. I did this detox kit. You need to do this detox kit. And I did one. It was only 7 days. And like, honestly, didn't really notice the difference. I think I maybe lost like 5 pounds. And then he brought me back this other one. It's like, this is a 30-day detox, all in a kit, pills, really restrictive diet, really all that. I got about 8 days into it, and I got the worst cold of my life. Like, that didn't go away for about 5 months. I feel like I broke myself with that stupid detox.
Yeah. And that can happen. If your body is like not, I'm going to use the word strong enough, but that's not always what I mean. It needs to be robust. A detox can be quite hard on the body. Mm-hmm. And if you're already pretty depleted, it's going to stop working.
Yeah. So that was not fun. I'm like, I am never doing this natural road again. This was like when I was about 26. Never, ever. Oh, and then I think my mom, I must have been about 28. I came home for the summer and she wanted family pictures. Reluctantly agreed, got the pictures. I don't even know if she sent them to me. She must have sent them to me. I don't think she was on Facebook yet, but she sent me that picture and I'm like, oh my God, I am mortified. I am huge. I look terrible. Like, I was just pale. I looked sickly. I looked awful. And that triggered me to like, you got to do something about this. So I went down a traditional weight loss route where I started watching when I was counting calories. I refused to go super low. Like I did my Fitness Pal. I refused to follow my Fitness Pal's recommendation though, because I do like to eat.
Well, that's also good because my Fitness Pal's like baseline or just generic recommendations are terrible.
I know, yeah, and I know that now, right? Like I'm like, oh, so I think I was like 1,600 calories a day. I started walking to work and walking home. That was all I could handle. That I did 6 months. I'm like, I'm going to commit to 6 months to lose 30 pounds. That's all I wanted to lose. I lost the 30 pounds at about 4.5, and I continued to lose a little bit more. And then when I was finished it, I felt quite a bit better, but still exhausted. Like the fatigue, I still couldn't exercise. I still couldn't, I couldn't eat those combinations of foods, and I just still felt really restricted. And then, of course, I'm like, I'm done. I hit the goal. Now I'm going to go live my life again because I sat in my house by myself for 6 months to lose that weight. Well, then I started gaining it back. And then I started that struggle of every Monday morning, gotta start again, start again. And so it's funny because my last ditch effort at this, I was like, I've got to keep this off. I'm determined to keep this off. My last ditch effort back then was my cousin went off birth control pills and dropped a ton of weight like that. I'm like, oh, that's the miracle. So I wanted to get off birth control pills forever anyway. So I went and I had a tubal ligation so I could get off of them. And I didn't lose any weight. All it did was gave me explosive acne.
Wow. Your body was like really sending you a lot of signals that you were ignoring.
Oh yeah. I was a mess. So I got this acne. I'm like, okay, that became my number one priority. Like I almost quit my job. Like, it was just awful. That's when I went and saw a naturopathic doctor, and she put me on a couple of supplements. I went on seed cycling to clear the birth control hormones, and that your hormones are a mess, girl. Clear them out. So she put me on seed cycling and told me to eat more fat. So I did that I still seed cycle to this day because it's not a miracle cure by any means, but I'm 46 and I am going to say that having been on it, doing this for 11 years is one of the main reasons I still don't have these perimenopause symptoms that so many women talk about.
Also seed cycle.
Do you? Yeah.
I do. Yep. And it's actually, again, not the miracle, but when I first tested my hormones years ago before I got pregnant with my son, I had post-menopausal level hormones, and I started seed cycling, and within 6 months I conceived him.
Yeah.
And so and I'm not saying that was everything that I did, but it certainly helped to just like get rid of any excess estrogen. You know what I mean? It binds to things. It helps your liver, it helps your digestion, everything, right?
Yeah. It's a lovely natural boost. It's not, like we said, it's not the cure. But anyway, I started doing that with her, and I think I'd been doing that so she had me, as you probably know, she had me on the omega-3s for half the month and GLA for half the month, or evening primrose oil. So I was doing that it was supposed to be 6 months. Out of the 4.5 month mark, this is when I had like an epiphany almost. Like I was at home cooking supper with my boyfriend who turned into my husband at the time. And he was mostly cooking, and I started playing and singing songs to my cats and just like jumping around them. Like, holy crap, I'm happy. Like, I have not been happy. Like, I wasn't a miserable of a person, but I was a very negative person through all of the health issues and made fun of a lot of things and everything. I was a pessimist and, just nothing. I was never happy. And that moment that it hit me, that I'm like, I'm happy. And I feel good. That was just like, it blew my mind because there was something about that just I was motivated to keep going with subconsciously want to keep more of this, bring more. It's so amazing. So I continued on doing that, seed cycling. I joined dance classes. I joined some other things in my life that made me happy and joyful. And my energy started to come back. For the first time ever, I had the energy to go to dance class and commit to something. So that was big.
This is like over a decade or more of dealing with chronic fatigue.
Yeah, 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And it is considered an autoimmune disease. So if people tell me like you're stuck with it, you can't get over an autoimmune disease, I'm like, yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. And then so with the seed cycling, I was eating, the seeds are fat, and I was eating more fat because my ND said eat more fat. I started to drop that like rebound weight without even trying. I was eating more, eating more food, eating more calories, not worrying about food too, really. Like went to restaurants, didn't even care. It's like, I'll be fine. I was good. So that was really cool too.
Trust in your body,
Yeah.
right? That you just don't, that's like the most freedom. That is
Yeah.
the most freedom when you have felt so restricted, or you have felt like, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but when you feel like you're always thinking about your next meal, or you're like
Yeah.
always thinking about what do I need to prep, or always thinking about like what can I eat at that restaurant, or you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It really takes up a ton of your brain capacity,
Yeah. It takes up so much time.
which is exhausting in itself, right?
Yeah. And what I realized later, a few years later with that, was that, we talk about stress and like people are like, I'm not stressed. Some people are like, I'm not stressed. Like my job is good. I love my job. But then you talk to them and you're like, well, what? I'm really worried about what I'm going to eat, or, oh my gosh, I'm eating too much. And I'm sorry, I had some cake last night. Like that's adding on to that stress that we don't realize is triggering that stress response every single day. Over and over.
100%. It doesn't need to be like, huge red flags waving and, blinking lights, alert, alert for your body to feel threatened and go into that mode. For sure. It
Yeah.
can so easily be just the story you tell yourself subconsciously about the food or
Yeah.
about the drink or about,
Yeah.
something happening in your future. For me, it was like I struggled so badly with digestive issues when I was in the thick of my stuff that if he was my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, would say like, we're going to so and so's barbecue 2 weeks from Friday, I would like it would immediately um make me feel anxious about what I was going to wear, what I was going to eat like 3 days leading up to that day, because something I ate on, Wednesday could trigger how bloated I felt on Friday. Then I wouldn't fit into my clothes. Like it was like a whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Like for me, it was the weight, and it was like, well, that barbecue coming up. I'm like, oh God, I better like eat less the week going into it, and then I know I'm gonna overeat, and then I'm going to have to like diet like hard the next week, and it's just gonna be miserable. Or else when it was the like, oh my gosh, they're having lasagna. What do I do? Because I couldn't mix dairy and wheat. There's all that too. Because nobody like, yeah, it's not, it was horrible.
It's so interesting. I'm going to call out Kirsten, our client right now. She said to me on our last call, I think she said it on our group call just last week. So she also had struggled digestively for quite a while. And she said the other day, or she was on vacation. They were on vacation with her family. She had said, and vacation can be really triggering on lots of people's digestion,
Oh, yeah.
like not just like moving time zones, but like dehydration, different water, different bacteria, different food, out of control, comfort level, whatever. I hear that a lot. And she said for the first time that she can remember that she like just trusted that she would use the bathroom properly. Like there
Mhm.
was just she didn't even question it. And that felt really good. And I was
That's
like,
good.
that is such a huge win to just know that you're going to use the bathroom and it's going to be totally fine and you're not going to have to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Right?
is a win. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, yeah, adding like taking that stress out of things. I think I was doing good, like I'd lost the weight, I was feeling good, I was energized, so I was exercising. And my final little like aha moment for me was I was trying to exercise like a man. The same thing every week over and over. And I remember going, I love patterns. There's just something about patterns. And so I noticed that I had a Monday and Thursday run scheduled on my workout regime back then. And I noticed that I'm like, why 2 weeks ago could I do that 5K run without stopping faster than ever? And then 2 weeks later, I'm just dragging. I just want to like walk this. I'm like, this is frustrating. This is not why. Why is this happening? And then I started tying it back to my cycle. And then I'm like, and then there was a little bit of work to accept the fact that I am going to work out differently than everybody, fitness instructors, people tell you to. But as soon as I accepted the fact that my body does not want me to push it hard every week of the month, it doesn't want me to push it hard any week of the month these days, just with stuff, with heat and everything. But And so once I started tuning into my cycle for exercise, then I could start tuning into my cycle for like, there's still cravings, but cravings, like I don't crave junk food or stuff like a lot of people attribute to cravings. Like I'll crave soups or once in a while I do crave pasta, and I do have gluten-free pasta, like pasta with vegetables or eggs or meat. Like I crave apples. Like it's tuning into that has really helped me just figure out what my body needs. And it's made living so much easier. I just feel more in tune. The stress that I was causing subconsciously through all that, like why can't I run every 2 weeks? Why can't I lose weight on this silly 10-day diet program? Why is this supplement not working for me? That's gone. And now I'm just more resilient to all stress. So if a little story here, yes, this past couple of days, my friend and I went into the city with her truck, and her battery light came on, and we drove. She's like, "Oh, that's weird." So we kept driving, got into the city. Her truck wouldn't start the day we were leaving, and she's like, "Oh my god, she was there for her passport." I'm like, "Don't worry, just go get your passport. I'll take care of your dog. Just go." She's like, "Oh my god, I don't know, but you have my dog." I'm like, "It's okay. I'm fine with Sadie." So she got her passport, came back, got the truck started, but now we can't stop the truck. So we took turns shopping. And then we're driving home, and she realizes she has no lights. So she's freaking out. I'm like, we'll just go. Don't worry. She's like, "Oh my god, we might not get home." I'm like, "That's okay. We'll get close enough. We have people that'll help us." And then she stalled in the highway at a construction site. So we had to push the truck off the road and call mechanics and call for batteries. Anyway, in this whole thing, she said to me when we got home, she's like, "You were just so calm in it." I'm like, "Well, what am I going to do? Like, get all weird and flustered and like freak out?" Like, no, it's like, it is what it is. We'll figure this out. And we did.
And like there's legitimately always the solution. Like you've lived
Absolutely.
46 years and there has been a solution to
Yeah.
anything and everything you've ever come up against.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if you can remember that in the times where you're really facing it, you can stay calm. Like it might not be the way you expected, but
Yeah.
nothing ever is.
No, exactly. Yeah. And I used to be that person that like cried. I would be a puddle on the floor if I knew it was happening. Every 6 months my rent went up. But I'd get that note under the door, and I'd be like, "It's going up $25." And I'd be like, "Oh, the world is ending. I'm not going to be able to afford to feed myself." Like, the stories that go off and just.
And you know what? It's funny because your story might not be exactly somebody's story,
Yeah.
right? Like from 11 years old, chronic or 12 years old, chronic fatigue, all the things. It might not be exactly somebody's story. But I hope for anybody listening, they're thinking maybe it's not my rent going up, but maybe it's every time I get dinged with a Rogers bill,
Yes.
right? Or like a telecommunications bill. And you're saying I don't, I hate that I'm always putting $200 a month out for that, or like my cable bill or my mortgage or whatever. Like it's even just little things like that just
Yeah.
like spike it. Right. Or so, okay. Chronic fatigue. Let's talk about how that maybe spikes it. So I didn't know your journey like at all until this moment. So it's actually quite relatable. Maybe again, not chronic fatigue, but when you were diagnosed at 12 or 15 and a half, sorry, you felt relief. How have you held on to that identity, if you have, till now? Was there a point where you were like, I have to let it go, I have to move past this? Like, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like through my 20s, I used that a lot as an excuse to get out of things, as a reason why I couldn't, do something. And then I think once my energy started to come back, it started to flip a little bit. Like I am energized. I am feeling good. I don't use it today for any reason, but I know it's there. It could come back because it's autoimmune. So I give myself that grace sometimes to take a day off from working out if I start to feel like I get weird little symptoms that like my muscles in deep inside start to ache if I'm overtired. It's like, okay, well, that's something I need to pay attention to. And so I give myself grace and I take a day off of working out, lifting weights, doing my cardio, whatever I'm doing. I might do nothing. I might do yoga. And I also I have been, as you know, I've been fostering kittens. And I've had a couple of batches where I've had to bottle feed them through the night for weeks. And that means getting up every 2 to 3 hours to feed these kittens, much like probably having a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And one reason I don't have kids is because, well, I wasn't really big on having them, but I knew I wouldn't be able to do it because I couldn't skimp on sleep. I can barely. I mean, even today, it's really hard for 3 weeks to skimp on sleep for me. But what I do instead of wallowing in it and like turn, my body wants, it starts to want the pasta and the bread and the carbs. But I'm like, what I do is just remind myself that this is going to pass and this is who I am. And if I want to stay healthy and feel good, I have to eat the fats and the protein and the vegetables and drink my water and just support myself through those phases. And so I feel like I've dropped I have chronic fatigue crutch that I used to use. I definitely did use it, but it's turned and enabled me. I guess I've used it enabled me now to set some boundaries, which I think is really important for everybody, especially women who sometimes don't say no enough when they should be or they want to. And it's what I tell my clients, like, listen to your body in any way, shape, or form. Like, if you really feel like that's something you know, intuitively don't want to do, you can say no. I mean, there's some things obviously you have to do, but that friend that's constantly calling, come drop everything, come see me, drop everything, come help me. Like, if you're intuitively saying like no, then those are the boundaries that I've been able to establish, realizing I have to support myself through this
Yeah. Yeah.
problem.
So, two questions then for you. When you, like today, the fostering the kittens scenario, you start to feel like really deep inside your muscles, like that old feeling, you need to do something. You want those comfort foods like the bread and the carbs. Like I get that. I get that too. When you say support yourself, what are you actually doing? Are you talking to yourself? Are you coaching yourself through it? Are you stepping outside of that tired Daina and saying like, are you like really logical about it? Like, tell me what supporting yourself looks like to get you through the process.
Yes. I think it would be logic probably, and yes, it's a little pep talk. Like, okay, what do you need? What does your body need for energy right now, and to help you sleep when you get to sleep? And so for me, it's I find some super easy. I'd call them almost appetizer like recipes, and I make hard boiled eggs. I make like chopped vegetables and hummus, and I just have all that on hand so that through the week it's just I just eat it when I'm hungry, and that supports keeping me energized. And yeah, there's always that little reminder, like, how are you going to feel if you eat that box of Kraft dinner? Well, I'm
Mhm.
not going to feel good.
So
Is it
does
worth
not
it?
feeling good, does eating that box of Kraft dinner, maybe it's somebody's popcorn, maybe it's
Yeah.
somebody's pasta, maybe it's somebody's wine, does giving in to that and going, I'll just deal with feeling like crap for a little while, ever take over and actually win?
Every once in a while it might, yeah, yeah. Usually it just, yeah, if there's just those nights where you're like, I am so exhausted, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah, there's just
Yes.
nothing else. I'm like, I don't care
Yeah.
how it's going to feel later. I'll deal with it then. I just need to do this thing.
Yeah. And then I think I've got this little routine where if I do overindulge on something, I know what to do the next day to like bounce myself out just based on what my body, like, I have 15 years of doing this,
Yeah.
you know? So for me, it's like, okay, I know for wine, if I like wine, I've had a few too many glasses sometimes, I admit, and
Every
wake up,
woman.
right? And you wake up the next day and you're like, okay, I don't feel so awesome. So bring on the ground flax seeds and bring on the broccoli and the beets and all that stuff, right? So that for me and my brain, I always think about food as, maybe that's why it works for me, because I think about food as its function, not as like what's going to taste good and make me feel good in the moment. It's more like the function of the food. Oh, that like ground flaxseed, that's going to help get rid of the alcohol and the estrogen that's building up, and I'm going to feel better.
100%. I relate to that. I do the same thing. I mean, there's always going to be times, like I can't stress this enough. There's always going to be times where, I'm going to say that weakness wins. Okay. And I'm not calling it a weakness like you failed.
Hmm.
Okay. But there's going to be times where you want to be social with your girlfriends or your husband, and you know what I mean? And like enjoy
Yeah.
a couple of drinks. Like life still exists beyond your, perfect, amazing food. which, we can still call perfect and amazing. That's fine. And I think the trick is that if you allow your weakness to win, then just let it be what it is. And like the next day, go, okay, like now I've had a great night's sleep. I can wake up and have a logical brain. Maybe, part of the reason why you overindulged in the first place was because you didn't get enough sleep, or,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Because, I mean, who knows? Because there was something stressful going on in your world that day, or things didn't go your way. So you had an emotional reaction, and that's okay. We are not only logical beings,
No.
right? And you certainly didn't fail, and you certainly didn't fall off track. That's also part of this, like, trusting yourself, that the next day is just going to be like, okay, I'm going to get
Yeah.
up and I'm going to have some flaxseed with some beets, and I'm going to, whatever it is that you need to do,
Yeah.
like, for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think people need to remember that for like all kinds of things, like not just their diet, but also their exercise routine. I think that when people fall off this exercise wheel, they
Yeah.
think like just like the whole world is going to fall down, when really, like, just get out and go for a walk if you want to. Like, it's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal. And in the more you put the pressure on it, the more that stress spike happens, and the more
Yeah.
you're sort of in that cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. One time when I was in IT, we were it's some very stressful. I did not like my job. It was very stressful. And my husband and I went on an all-inclusive vacation to Mexico, and I sat on my butt and drank margaritas and ate the buffet food, and we went to the nice restaurants every night. I did nothing exercise-wise. I came home and everybody's like, "Did you lose weight?" I'm like, "I think I lost 10 pounds just from the stress that had," and in some people's view, I might have eaten terribly and really overindulged, and I did. Because I didn't care. I'm like, I'm eating and I'm not moving, and this 1 week of laying on my butt, and yeah. So
You deserve it once in a
yeah,
while. Like, it's okay, right? It's okay. I know. I get it. I get it. So,
stop
like,
beating
what
ourselves up.
advice would you give to the women in our program, or anybody that might be listening to this? Because I'm probably going to ask you if I can put this on my like the whole podcast.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to people who are like either stuck in this, black and white mindset about diet and exercise, or if they have, identified with this idea of they're just like an anxious person, a control freak. I have to do it this way, or it's like that's just who I am. Me personally, am somebody who in the past has identified as a perfectionist. Somebody who, this is so funny. I even have identified as like a broken person. So, like, when I realized how broken I was, there was a stint where I had to do a lot of like my own real emotional healing. There
Yeah.
was like a stint where I was like, oh, but it's because I'm broken. You know what I mean? Like, I had weird excuses about that. I know some women will say, like, if they miss a workout, they feel like a like lazy couch potato, and then they identify like that. Or
Hmm.
now this might be to the extreme and maybe sort of out of your scope, but let's just say it: sexual assault victims, or binge eaters, or food addicts, or, I mean, I'm trying to think of more identities that we can, the high performing driven A-type personality. That's another one that
Hmm.
I've identified as. What would you say to somebody who has truly taken on their identity, and it is really stopping them from moving forward?
Well, I feel, and from my experience in working with clients, that a big part of the identities we get stuck in are related to some physical imbalances. There is such a deep connection between gut health and liver health and the lymphatic system and clearing toxins, that if those are not functioning well and we haven't cleared and rebalanced the body, those emotions, a lot of those emotions and those thoughts and those subconscious beliefs can just keep getting triggered. So I feel like working on the food and exercise and trusting yourself, and working on the food, there is going to be a little bit of work. Figure out what works for you. And while we might not want to track it, I always tell people, look for the patterns
Mm-hmm.
in what you're eating and how you react to stress, for example, those things. And if you notice any connections there, just start asking yourself, like, what could that be? I think we've got it in our head that we're eating healthy. I have, and what's healthy, what's not, right? I think that's the issue. Like, what works for me is I don't eat dairy. Whereas other people claim dairy is a great source of protein and it's a healthy food, and I'm eating Greek yogurt and it's it's got no sugar added. So that's where we really need to just start trusting ourselves more.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that little bit of work, tuning into your intuition, tuning into your cycle, whatever it is that you want to call it, and listening to that. And then when you do start, I don't know if I am a binge eater or a food addict, but I like to eat, and I've had some problems in the past with just downing food. Part of it was my hormones were a hot mess, and I didn't realize it back then, but now I know. So sometimes when I'm like, I just want to eat, bored, I want to eat. I'm like, what do you want to eat? Why do you want to eat? I'm like, well, I'm bored. Was there something better you can do? Well, yeah, but do I want to? So it's like, it becomes a toss up. I'm like, well, do you want to overeat right now and feel like crap, or do you want to like do something else? So I do a little bit of talking to myself. I give myself a lot of tough love.
It sounds like you're being mindful.
Yes.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You're like mindful in the sense of like you are aware of what you're doing. You're not going down the binge eating on craft dinner and then like going, oh my God, what did I just do?
Yeah.
You're like, I am making a conscious decision that either I'm going to do this because it's what I need for me right now, or no, I don't need this in my world today.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
before you make the action, you're assessing the why.
Yes, I do a lot of that now for sure. Yeah. And I really feel, just bring it back to the food, like I really feel that we can't regulate a nervous system or manage stress without doing the physical improvements and fueling the stress response and giving it what it actually needs to be regulated with food.
100%.
And it is that, like, I'm a holistic nutritionist. It's that holistic approach that I really have found so effective. And so while working with you, while it might look like, oh my, 4 months, 12 months is a long time. Well, it took me about 5 years to figure out, like from the start of that seed cycling until me being like, I've got this exercise thing figured out. That was 5 years, and I failed a lot, and I trialed myself and screwed up a lot. But it's once we just sit down and accept that we've got to change, it's okay to change. And you've got to change, but you also get to eat good food. Like I eat better, more delicious food now than I ever did before I went off birth control pills.
Yes. You get to eat delicious food. And the other thing is that you get to change. Like, who wants to be the same person they were at 20? I sure as hell don't want to be the same person I was at 20. You know what I mean? And you know what, to that point, I was talking with some friends this week, and it just like, it's so funny how the universe works. Like I've had 3 girlfriends come to me, all of them trying to conceive, and just like total, like they don't know, none of them know each other. And we've just been talking, and they've been asking some questions about, you know, gut health and whatever, and happily to talk to them. And the first thing when I say like gluten is probably something you should take out. If you haven't already, it's pretty inflammatory. You've already told me there's some gut issues going on, and how much they don't want to do it. Like it's like immediate, like,
No.
I don't think I can do that. It's too hard. I don't really eat that much anyway. And like, I can see that where their mind goes, they're just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to make this change. This is way too hard. Right? It's interesting because I think at the end of the day, I am not a very pushy person, whether it's my coaching or like, I'm certainly not pushing things on friends. I ask them, can I give you some advice? They say, yes, this is what I say. At the end of the day, what are you motivated by? Right? Like, when I got married, we knew we wanted to have kids, and I knew that I wasn't well. And so I went down a journey, not only for the fact that I wanted to have kids, but like, I just wanted to be well, right? And so what was the most important thing to me at that point?
Mm-hmm.
I saw, just like you, healing the body and then eating the right foods and giving up the things that just don't work for my body. That's not a laundry list of items. It's a couple of things that I'm just like, you know what? I'm not doing that because I don't want to feel like crap.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, a lot of our struggles can be prevented if we just take a step back and go, like, what am I choosing? What am I motivated by?
Yeah. And you didn't actually say it, but you said you wanted to have kids, but you also, I can feel under that, you wanted to conceive, have a healthy child, and be available for that child, not sick, postpartum, all that. You'll want to be there for their life. You know, like it's not just about the little thing. Like for me, if you'd asked me when I was 25, like, I just want energy. But in reality, like, I wanted friends. I wanted a life. I wanted to do fun things. I wanted to travel. I wanted to be able to go on a hike. Like, there's just all these, and hold a job and be confidently hold down a job that I was good at. Like, this,
100%. And then you think about the weight loss piece, right? So what we kind of do, what
Yeah.
is the why behind that? What is the motivator behind that? It's not, because it certainly is not the number on the scale. Like we can all be attached to the number on the scale, but like, I'm not trying to lose weight to like be like, oh, well, now it's at 130. Last week it was 140. Like what that's not the motivator. The motivator is I want to feel good in my clothes. I want to feel good when I step outside and go to a restaurant on a date night with my husband. I want to know my husband can't keep his eyes off me. I want to feel strong in my body. Like I want to be able to go on a bike ride or run around my backyard with my 2-year-old and not feel like I'm exhausted. Like, and the really big picture there is people's health are declining very fast. Young people's health are declining really fast in our world these days. My husband and I had a friend at 39 years old die of a heart attack last year, leaving 3 babies, like 3 kids under 3. That is the last thing I ever want to happen to my son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's not just about the weight, but it certainly is like, okay, I know that piece to the picture makes everything else harder.
Yeah.
Right?
When I think about that, when I said I lost 30 pounds. My goal was to lose 30 pounds. I ended up losing 38, 39. At that point, people were like, oh, wow, you lost 40 pounds. Yeah. Still looked terrible. I was being called a bobblehead.
God,
and I still had this stupid flabby tummy that I hated. But worst off is I had I'm a cat lover. I have always had cats. I had cats. I had an underground parking in my condo. I could barely carry their litter up on the elevator up to my apartment. It was like 6 trips to get my groceries. Like, it was frustrating. And then I started working out more properly, like going to the gym and like moving a bit more and building muscle, and I gained almost 30 of those pounds back in muscle, and I loved how I looked. Finally, I was strong. I could wear anything, and it was kind of cool to yes, to be superficial, but it was cool to walk into the jeans store and then be like, oh, you're easy to fit.
100%. I used to take pride in the fact that my hips and butt and legs were muscular to the point where I'd have to go up in size in my waist and have to have my pants tailored because I was like, my legs are so strong. Just weird and not the same after pregnancy, by the way.
No.
But yeah, it is so much more, right? So yeah, we have to think about our big motivator, our big why. Why are we making those decisions every single day? And we have to really get mindful about it. And what I hear you say and how I sort of interpret it is I will coach myself through those uncomfortable times by talking to myself. And there are times where that weakness wins and I'm like, screw it. This is what I'm doing tonight. I'm going to feel like crap tomorrow, but whatever. But again, I don't hold on to it anymore, and we just move on because there's nothing that I haven't survived so far. That's kind of my thing. There's nothing that hasn't worked out. There's nothing I haven't survived. I'm not going to worry about something that doesn't exist today. Eckhart Tolle wrote in, what is his big book? I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but he said, when you worry or when you live in the future, when you're anxious and you're living in the future, you're worrying about things twice. You're worrying about something that hasn't happened, and then you're worrying about it when it does happen. And I think about that all the time. Here's a stressor that is just an external stressor. We have an elderly dog. She's 16 years old. She's not well. We know it is coming to an end. We know this. She's been with me since she's 8 weeks old. So I've had her whole life. And this is something I coach myself through, to not worry about it today. Because if I worry about it now, then when it happens in 2 weeks, or it happens in 4 weeks, or it happens in 10 weeks, I'm suffering through it then too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And then you miss your moments.
Yeah, you're right.
In the meantime, right? And so you can say the same thing about the way you choose to eat, or if there's that barbecue 2 weeks from now, or, you know, I have a stressful business trip coming up and I don't want to gain weight, or vacation, or like, it doesn't matter what the thing is that's like making you go there. You're also preventing yourself from like living your life because you're constantly concerned about it when you don't need to be.
Yeah. I was more of a rehash the past kind of person.
Oh, you were living in the past. Eckhart Tolle also has something about that. I
Where
think,
you're,
I don't know what the saying was, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, where if I said something in a meeting, I'd spend like hours ruminating. Did I say the right thing? Did I offend them? Like, oh my God, what happened? Are they going to talk to me tomorrow? Like, oh, like just that would go
I've been
on.
there too.
So yeah.
I call that out now. I don't know if you do, but if I start to go there, I had a moment like that with my sister-in-law a couple weeks ago, where I just like said something and she was fine, and she's very aware. Her and I are very much on the same page. And then about a week later, I was like, I should send her a text because I've been thinking about this. And I was like, I sent her a text like, I really didn't mean to be like, if this is the way it came across. And she's like, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
Like, I find that I call things out a lot more.
Yeah, me
so that I
too.
don't sit with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm way better about it now. Like, but I used to be so bad, so terrible.
Interesting. I wonder if a lot of this is like being mindful. So like if you're, you know, deciding between your craft dinner, because you said craft dinner, your craft dinner, or your beautiful, you know, like steak and beets and all the things. And so you're being mindful about it. Why am I choosing this today? Because it's easy and I just need something. Okay, fine, whatever. It's about coaching yourself through it. What is my why? Why do I, like, what is my motivation? What is the deep down motivation I'm choosing the other? And will I feel better about it? And then it's like bringing it out to the surface, letting it leave your brain, talking about it, writing it down, like literally getting it out of your body.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm having an issue with my husband, it will like literally fester physically inside of me until we have a conversation. And then as soon as we have the conversation, it's done. Right? Same thing with friends, family, whatever.
Yeah.
It can be done in your own voice. Like if you're having anxiety about something, like sometimes I'll just say to my husband, because I mean, he's the only one I can talk to in my home, right? I'll say like, I need to just like spew this onto you. I don't need a fix. Just let me put it out there. Just hold some space. You can just say, you know, thanks, Michele, for sharing. That's all you need to say. But just getting it out of your brain sometimes just helps alleviate the stress or that pressure.
Yeah, I agree. I do that. I don't have anybody, but I talk out loud to myself if I really need to work through the process. It definitely helps to talk it out loud, and then I can have a conversation with myself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like the same thing that works. So for me, if I wake up in the middle of the night and my to-do list is stopping me from falling back asleep, which happens every so often, I know now, like my phone is plugged in beside my bed. I know that's a big no-no for everybody with EMFs. It's on airplane mode. The best I can do, guys. Anyway, I'm going to get hate for that.
I have mine too.
I will open my phone and yes, the blue light. Yes, it's all bad. But I'm still not sleeping anyway. I will text myself my to-do list. I'll be like, oh, I got to pay that bill. Oh, I got to make sure I email that person back. Oh, I got to make sure I post a podcast. Because otherwise, if I don't get it out of my head, I'll be awake for another 2 hours, literally thinking about it, like over and over, as if my brain is trying to not let me forget.
Like, don't forget. I know. I had that the other night. I was laying in bed about to fall asleep. I'm like, if I don't write these things down, I'm never going to fall asleep.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really fantastic, I like, you know, just kind of going through this conversation and hopefully having some action steps for people. It's like, just like getting mindful and getting it out of your head to alleviate it on your body. I love that. I think those are two or three really good actionable steps for people when they're like kind of in the thick of their thing.
Yeah. One question I like to ask if I do start worrying about something, it could be food, it could be anything, is what's the worst that could happen?
100%.
Because then you start thinking about that and like, that's not that bad.
That's not that bad. Like if I eat this cookie, it's the worst that's going to happen. My belly might hurt a bit.
Yeah.
You know,
I might want another.
Yeah. Might go 3 months without having water. No, I get that. I get that. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about your journey, or any advice that you would give, like one piece of solid advice that you would give somebody who is maybe just like struggling when they fall off track, or, not giving themselves enough grace, or allowing their stress to kind of take over in the physical way?
I think having a kind of like back of your pocket solid plan to reset, that you can just be like, okay, yeah, yesterday was last weekend, last vacation was a bad, or I may have eaten too much, or I overindulged. It happens. That's okay. Here's my plan to keep going forward. Like, what do I need? And it's just every day's a new day.
Yeah.
What happened yesterday, just let it go and start over again. Just because you may, and I hear it. I ate like crap all weekend, it's just gonna throw me off course. Like, you're letting it throw you off course.
1,000%.
You get to choose what you do and how you feel.
I love that. To that point, I was listening to a Mel Robbins podcast last week or earlier this week, and I forget the woman she had on, but the woman said something along the lines of, like, she was talking about children, but I think it's like great blanket advice for adults as well. You are allowed to have all the thoughts you could ever want or have or not want. They can be horrible. You can judge yourself for them. They could be like, I hate you thoughts. All thoughts and feelings are welcome. All behaviors are not.
Yes.
Meaning you can have those days where you like freaking hate yourself for the choices you made, but you don't have to keep making those decisions. Like, you don't have to physically be behaving that way. And I don't mean behave. This is why I mean children, right? You get to choose. You get to choose what you put in your mouth. You get to choose how you move your body. And sometimes that means rest.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what you choose, it can be empowering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Daina, for coming on today. I would like to post this as a podcast episode on my bigger platform, but I hope that it helps serve all the women in our program. And if there is anything that you guys want us to talk about, please, I'm going to put this up on YouTube. Please drop it in the comments so that we know and we can address it when we do our next episode. Thank you, Daina.
You're welcome.
If this conversation stirred something up in you, if you feel even a little more clear, more curious, or more inspired, share it. Send it to a friend who's been quietly wondering if the way she feels is just how it is now, and tag me on Instagram or LinkedIn at @MichelleScarlett_. I truly love hearing what lands for you. And if something came up during this episode, a question, a symptom, a story, email me directly at michelle@michellescarlett.com. I personally read every message, and I'll help you get clear on what you're dealing with and what to do next. You don't have to settle. You don't have to figure it out alone. This is your space to take your health, your life, and your success back into your hands.